Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to do Introduction to Territory. So, what is territory? Well, territory is the area you surround on the board. For example, let's say I play this shape right here. In this case, black has surrounded 1, 2, 3, 4 points of territory in the corner. So, this territory here can be seen as black's overall territory. However, when we are scoring the game, we're going to add up all the territory surrounded by a single color. And the goal of the game is to actually make more territory than your opponent. This is the actual rules of the game, and Capture Go, while it only used half the rules for the capture rule, was to get you used to capturing stones and counting liberties. But here, we're going to be aiming to gain territory, but we will not lose when stones are captured. So let me repeat that. When stones are captured, we do not lose the game anymore, because now we're using the full set of rules. Now, the game is over when both players decide to pass. When both players pass, then the game is scored. We remove the dead stones, and whatever area is surrounded by one color is considered points, and whoever has more points, then that player will win. So there are ways to prevent ties, but I'm going to get into that later. For now, let's go ahead and think, where do we start? We have all these spots on the board. In Capture Go, it was good to start in the center because you could run any direction. But that's in Capture Go. Now we're starting with territory. Where's a good spot to start for territory? Well, actually, it has to do with the fact that how can we surround territory the fastest? What's the most effective way and efficient way to surround territory? And for that, we need to look at our first example. In this example here, we can see black has surrounded 4 points in the corner. So I'll go ahead and mark the points of territory. These 4 points of territory, these 4 points of territory, these 4 points of territory. We're going to assume the rest of the board is occupied by other stones, so we won't count that as territory right now. So in this example, we can see that black has 4 points of territory and 3 areas on the board. The difference is the amount of stones it took to make those 4 points. So here it took black 1, 2, 3, 4 moves in order to get 4 points. On the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can see it takes more moves to make in the center than it does on the side, and more moves on the side than it does in the corner. What this means is working with the edges will help you make points much faster than if you just try to surround it on your own. So utilizing the edges of the boards, we can easily surround points with less amount of stones, which makes each move more valuable overall. So let me repeat that so it makes sense. It is more effective and more efficient to play near the edges of the board in order to surround territory with less moves. Now, we know what area to start in. We start in the open corners first, and then we go on the open sides because the sides are the second biggest, and the center is usually last. So now that we know where to start, we know the general area, somewhere in this area, but what lines do we start on? Like, what are the exact points we should start on? Well, that has to do with the lines of territory. So here, we're going to say, what if I start in the corner on the first line? Oh, well, this move's not good because it's not surrounding anything. We want to surround points, right? So in the first line, this one is surrounding 0 points and has bad liberties. Same right here. On the second line, we are surrounding 1 point at a time. So it's not really efficient. It's not really effective, right? So here, if we go here, we're surrounding like 1 point in the corner. But on the third line, let's put it on the side so it's easier to see, we have 2 points of territory at a time. The third line is a very, very good territorial line and secure line. You can think of the third line as 2 things. 1, securing territory, and 2, securing eyes and a base. This will be important later on, so it's good to remember. So the third line is a good secure line for securing territory and for securing eyes and a base. So it's a good safe line, it's a good solid line, and it's also efficient. What about the fourth line? The fourth line is a little bit high, but it is okay. The fourth line is for developing a position or playing very quickly or playing on a very larger scale. Now, the fourth line can be reduced sometimes, but not very effectively. You see how white's on the second line in order to come under black. And here, if you play on the third line, you have bad liberties. So the fourth line and third line are usually good lines to be on. And the fourth line is for development, third line's for security. Both have their own ups and downs, and you should use a combination of them to make a very effective position. Now, any higher than the fourth line, for example, the fifth line, is far too high because your opponent can easily come in the third line and survive very easily on the secure line and take away all your points. So, in the opening, this is in the opening, not for the entire game, but only the opening, we want to play in the third and fourth line because it's very easy to make points. It's very solid. It's very safe and very efficient. Means you make points very quickly with the least amount of stones, which is exactly what we want to do. We want to make points as fast as possible and make them faster than our opponent. So the good spots to start on are the 3-3. So this is 1, 2, 3 from this wall, 1, 2, 3 from this wall. So it's the 3-3 that works with both edges. Here's a 3-4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it works with both edges. So we're still in the corner areas. The 4-4 and the other 3-4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't understand how I'm counting this, just think, if I place a stone here, how many lines am I from the edge? So 1, 2, I'm on the third line from this edge. But what about this edge? It's actually the same. 1, 2, 3. So you count from both edges, and that's the point you're on. So the 3-3 point. Now, remember we said it was the fastest way to make points was in the corner, then the sides. So this means we play open corners first, and then we can extend along the sides to develop our position. So for example, since I want to make a combination on the right, I can say, okay, let's go over here. Third line for security, fourth line for development. Well, I have a black stone here and a black stone here, so let's develop. And I can play a fourth line, and you can see I'm developing a very large position very quickly. And then white can also do the same, etc., etc. And then once all the corners and sides are taken, we can start playing the middle game. But we'll get into more about the middle game later. So for now, just know where you want to start on the board for a territorial game is the corners first, then the sides, and then the center is dead last. The center actually is usually not good to make territory and gote. Gote is a term that says you lose the initiative. Sente means you keep the initiative. So gote and sente, these are two go terms. Sente means you keep the initiative. Gote means you lose the initiative. Playing the center in gote, or in a way that you lose the initiative and your opponent can go play somewhere else, or playing the center in a way that's not forcing your opponent to respond, is usually considered slow, unless for certain reasons, or in very rare situations. So just know for now, the center is small for territory. The center, just making territory in the center, is usually considered small. There are some exceptions, but most of the time, it's usually not good to make points in the center unless it's forcing your opponent to respond or you're attacking something. But anyway, so corners first, open corners first, then open sides, and the center's last for fighting or something. And then on the lines you want to be on in the opening is the third and fourth line. They're very good for making territory and very good for making a strong position. So as we saw in the game, we saw black make a very nice territory position and white made a territory position. So both of these positions are pretty okay. Third line wants to come up to the fourth line to develop, and the fourth line wants to come down to the third line. So for example, this one here, third line went up to the fourth line, the fourth line came down to the third line for security. In this case, I didn't do that, but I'm on the third line on this edge, so it's okay. But there's a common phrase: third line wants to rise up to the fourth line to develop, and fourth line wants to come down to the third line for security. So having some combinations of third and fourth lines are usually good territorial ideas or territorial frameworks. So, if you understand this, try playing an opening with yourself or with a friend, or maybe looking at some openings of some amateur games or pro games online and see how they play the opening. I wouldn't look more than just, if you're looking online and looking at pro games, I wouldn't look more than 25 moves. There's no reason to go too in depth. Right now, you're just learning the opening. Just see how they stay on the third and fourth line and how they surround territory. That's a good study material. But all right, hopefully you guys found this easy enough to understand. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.